I thank the chairman, and good morning to the witnesses. I thank you each for your testimony. Let me start my time by acknowledging the ESEA reauthorization bill that not only passed out of this committee, but is waiting over at the Senate for a hearing. As the subcommittee chairman for early childhood education, early childhood elementary and secondary education, we put a lot of time and effort into that bill. And a lot of that time and effort was spent with some of our colleagues on the Republican side of the aisle. See, we're 10 years into what we've termed No Child Left Behind. And in that decade of experience, we realized what worked with No Child Left Behind, what is working, and more importantly, what is not working. We realized that accountability is a good thing, and that's been discussed here. But we also realize the best people to determine what success is lies with our parents, our teachers, taxpayers at the local level. The reauthorization that I'm talking about trusts those people more than bureaucrats in Washington, no offense, present company accepted. We'll get to you in a minute. And that's the key difference here. And the architect of No Child Left Behind, the Speaker of this House, even voted for our reauthorization, coming to the same conclusion. What we really need in this town, and it should be no surprise to any of the witnesses, is leadership. Let the bill be heard in the Senate. What could it hurt? What's the problem? In the research that I did in preparing that language, I went to a place called EduCare that was built in the right on what would have been the shadows of the Robert Taylor homes in Chicago. And what I saw there was no less than amazing. And I'll just bring up for the record a couple of those observations. First of all, they were trying in an early childhood education environment to teach kids whose parents were never parented. So now we're in second and third generations here. And so part of their contractual relationship that they have is that the parents come in to learn how to be parents. And I found that amazing. The second thing I found was that they were mature enough, the leaders of this institution, organization, were mature enough and responsible enough that when they started the first time, they found some things that weren't working. They actually suspended the program. They stopped taking people's money and worked out what was going wrong and then started again. And you can correct me or tell me if that happens throughout these programs and throughout these different schools. I'm happy to be educated further, but I found that really amazing and appreciated. There's been some comment made that the ESEA doesn't authorize or spend any money in this area, and that is wrong. For the record, I want to say that in Title I for fiscal year 2014, we're allocating $14.385 billion. 2% of $14.385 billion is about $288 million, and that's the amount that the CRS, the Congressional Research Service, says that is used to support preschool services. So I understand the point that might have been made that dedicated funds may not be siloed, but again, when you look at the approach of ESEA reauthorization, you see that we want that flexibility in there because why? We trust parents, teachers, local taxpayers more than any other bureaucrat in Washington. We believe they know what's best for our kids than anyone in this town. Now, to Ms. Brown, I'm running out of time. How long have you studied the federal government?
How long have?
Yeah.
More than 25 years.
Yeah. Do you know of any bureaucrat that you've ever met that knows the children of Indiana better than Indiana's parents, teachers, and taxpayers?
I can say no to that.
Okay, thank you. What's your definition of duplication, of duplicative program? Do you have an official definition in your agency?
Yeah, the official definition for duplication is programs that serve the same children at with the same purpose and serve the same children.
Right, you can imagine.
It's
so
more
have
than
you ever
overlap.
have you ever seen a duplicative program under that definition?
Yeah, we in the food assistance area. We've done some work in that and have seen a number of cases where there might be programs that could or do serve the same populations. Sometimes that's okay because there might be a need for different entry points for families, and sometimes that can be a problem.
I'm yielding back the microphone. I would say that maybe we should consider in that definition overlap and fragmentation as better ways to determine what duplication really is.
The gentleman's
Thank you.
time has expired. Mr. Scott.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Okay.
I just wanted to say how delighted I was to hear that you'd been to visit an EduCare program. And that is, of course, such a powerful example of the kinds of things we're talking about, coordinating the different funding streams we have to try to, in an intensive, very reflective way, establish high standards, lots of assessment of the children. I think Dr. Yala talked about that, to inform practice, good partnerships with the families. These are the kinds of things that we work on at the state level with local partners in this coordinated way, but they're also exactly the kinds of things, because it is hard, it's very hard work, you saw that, to be able to do that, why these issues around needing more resources, basically, and being able to deliver more support to the states to be able to help pull this together really set a strong foundation important.
I appreciate that. Will the gentleman yield for 30 seconds?
I actually wanted to follow through on the question you'd asked. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, and I just don't understand when we can't determine, based on, for a lack of data, where the duplication is, where the overlap is, where the waste, fraud, and abuse is, how we can then conclude that automatically we need to spend more money. I believe in targeting the money, but just to say we need to throw more money at something when we can't even show that the money currently being used is being used efficiently is the wrong approach. I yield back.
Thank you. And I wanted to follow up on the difference between overlap and duplication. You're not suggesting that the same child is in actually two different programs, are you?
Okay, there's two answers to that. One is that it's possible that the same child could be in two different programs, and it might be something like Head Start in the morning and daycare in the afternoon.
But basically, by duplication, you mean the child had two programs serving the same area, but not that the same child is in two programs.
Right, the only...
And so there's a difference between overlapping services and duplicated services.
Yeah, we tried to think about instances in these types of programs where there would be true duplication, and most of the examples we came up with were cases where there might be inappropriate or improper use of funds, like, someone was, claimed that they had a child enrolled in a program or something like that, and unfortunately, when you have this many programs that are operating similar services, that kind of opens the door for that potential.
Sometimes the overlap is helpful because, as we've heard, some programs are more appropriate for some students than others. And if you have overlapping programs, they'll be able to choose, but the same child isn't going to be in kindergarten and Head Start at the same time.
Right. I mean, it's very possible that a child might be in a family daycare home and be receiving child and adult care food program, and that would be appropriate.
That's not the normal case of duplication.